Okay, and so the question you want to ask today for this topic is, first of all, what is a coefficient? Okay, what is a coefficient? Anybody want to try and take a crack at answering that question? Or you can talk to your neighbor. Pause the video if you're watching and think about what is a coefficient. Well, I don't know. Just tell me, Mr. Donahue. Okay, well, here it is. Answer! It's the number multiplied by a variable, which you've seen many times. Why? That would be in front of, the same idea, right? In front of a variable. Okay, and example. The coefficient. So I'm just going to go in here. Example. Probably expand this a little. Oh, maybe not. Okay, so there's basically three things there. The coefficient of 3x is what, Delilah? The coefficient of 3x is what?
3.
The coefficient of negative 7y, Crystal, is what?
-7.
The coefficient of negative x is what, Marion? Good job. See, because there's a negative 1 in front of there. So you guys know what a coefficient is, right? It's not hard. It's just the number in front of a variable, and it's stuck to that variable by multiplication, okay? So this is what we're going to need to analyze when we look at these equations. Analyze means just to look at something, evaluate its properties, and how to understand it. That's all that means. Okay, so let's get right down to it. Solve the system using this method, the combination and elimination method. Solve using combination and elimination. Example, and this is the only example I'm going to give in this video, and for notes today, we're going to do whiteboard practice immediately after this. So I'll have you go to whiteboard in a second. All right, so here are your equations. Copy that down. And then I'm going to write step 1 off to the right, which you will copy as well. That says opposite. Okay, so write that down. Which variable has an opposite coefficient? Now, there are two variables in this system of equations. You know what they are. What two variables are in there? X and Y, right? So you got an X and you got a Y. So out of the two, which one has an opposite coefficient? Let me ask you a question. What's the opposite of 7? Negative 7. What's the opposite of negative 9? 9. What's the opposite of negative 1,000? Positive 1,000. Which variable has an opposite coefficient? The X or the Y? Yeah, it's the Y. So that right there is what you need to zero in on. That's what you need to look for, is the opposite coefficient in Y, or any variable that is. And once you have this, this is a perfect opportunity to use the combination and elimination method. And the reason why is because you're trying to eliminate one of the variables so that you have one equation with one variable. Remember, that is the goal, to get one equation with one variable, thereby to solve for that one variable, and then plug that in to get the other one. So what this opposite coefficient allows us to do now is step 2. Add the equations together like this, folks. Add the equations together. So I'm going to go put a plus sign off to here, put parentheses around the second equation, and then put a bar underneath. Just kind of like in 4th grade or so when we were adding 2-digit and 3-digit numbers together. All right? On paper. You guys did it on paper, right? You didn't cheat with the calculator? I feel like a lot of you may have. But anyway, you're going to do it like this. Here's your setup. When you have the opposite coefficient, you can do this. Now, you can only do this adding business. Well, you can do this adding business, but it only helps you if you have that opposite coefficient. You need step 1 first before you add the equations together. And then also, why do we add the equations together, or why can we do that? Because we're adding the same thing to both sides of this top equation when we add this to here and this to here, and I'll show you that in a second. But what we're going to do, negative 3x plus 6x. That is 3x. 4y plus negative 4y. What's that? 0. Equal sign comes down. Negative 19 plus 10. Negative 9. Now, what happened to y? It's gone. It was eliminated. That's the elimination part. So you got that third step where you eliminate one variable and solve for the other. Whatever variable that is. In this case, it's x. So what am I going to do to solve for x now? Very simple. 3x equals negative 9. What do I do? Yeah, divide by 3. And then x equals negative 3. I now have one of my variables solved for. Now, at this point, I will take it and plug it back into either one of these equations. And I'm going to pick this, actually, I'm going to pick this top one right there. Okay, so I'll try that. And it doesn't matter which one you plug it back into so long as it's correct. Okay, so negative 3 times the x, which will go right in there, which is negative 3 plus 4y equals negative 19. So that I just got from up here. Question, where did I get this equation? Answer from right here. It's this one. I'm just plugging it back in. So I get positive 9, because negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, plus 4y equals negative 19. And then I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides to solve for y. 4y equals, well, that would be negative 28. Okay, now at this point, I will divide both sides by 4 to solve for y, and I'll be done. And then y equals negative 7. Negative 28 divided by 4. So I've got my answer for y, I've got my answer for x, and then I write my solution as an ordered pair. So it's going to be that negative 3, negative 7 ordered pair. And I'm done.